Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. And today I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about kind of the future of the game. Now, CIG is working on 4.0 and they've been talking a lot about 4.0. And for a long time, a lot of people in the community have kind of theorized about this patch that will kind of be the defining moment in the kind of development of the game. One patch to rule them all. The patch that saves the game. And a lot of people for a long time has kind of seen that patch as 4.0 because 4.0 is going to be the addition of silver meshing and Pyro's finally going to come to the game. But realistically speaking, that is going to be really exciting for a time, obviously, because, it's something we've been waiting a long time for. But salvage was something we were waiting a long time for. And now that it's here, it hasn't really been that defining moment in the game. So a lot of people are kind of hoping that, 4.0 is going to be this patch. But personally, I don't know about that. I'm not sold on that concept that 4.0 is going to be the defining moment in the game where, everybody in the gaming industry just decides to pick up Star Citizen and everybody loves it now all of a sudden. Obviously, I think there are some big quality of life hurdles that CIG need to overcome for this game to be more mainstream, for a lot more people to really be able to pick up this game and make it their main game. And that's what a lot of people want to do. A lot of people want to just buy Star Citizen, make it their main game, play it and enjoy it. But they run into issues, they run into bugs, they run into roadblocks, and ultimately they put it down until another patch comes out and they can be excited for the game again. And because of that, a lot of people call Star Citizen this perpetual alpha that'll never be released, that is essentially a tech demo. Now, there are other games in beta and alpha that people don't call tech demos, and I realize a lot of those people call Star Citizen a tech demo as an insult. But realistically speaking, you look at what's here, and there's a lot in the game that most AAA games don't have and can't do. So the fact that CIG is doing this at this stage in the alpha has to mean something. It has to be something. But what does that lead up to? What is the problem? And the question at that point has to be asked. What would make Star Citizen a real game in those individuals' eyes? What does Star Citizen still need to be able to get to the point where people don't see it as a tech demo, people don't see it as a game that's going to take 50 years to come out and be good? We kind of need to talk about that, because I feel like if you're going to critique the game, which is completely fair, there needs to be some type of end goal. Like, what are you looking for in the game to make it good to you? So I'm going to ask this question to you guys watching this video in the comments down below. Comment down below. What is the kind of thing that's going to make Star Citizen stand out to you? And I'm going to kind of talk about what I think CIG needs to do to kind of make this game in a state that is a little bit more tangible. Because again, I think the game is really good. I think the game is really fun. But it obviously, for a lot of people, it's obviously missing a lot of stuff. Now, CIG is adding a lot of quality of life improvements in 320, where, things like your MFDs now persist, things like the quantum HUD has been upgraded, things like the actual ship HUD is now a little bit more configurable. Things like stackings and inventory, they're slowly, working their way up into adding a lot more quality of life stuff. They added a whole, tutorial for new players to be able to come in. They're working on localization for other languages in other countries. This stuff is big and very important, and I know it's not, exciting, but a lot of these quality of life improvements are, very needed to be able to make the game a lot more consistent, a lot more playable. But they're not, in my opinion, kind of like the defining thing that is gonna make people stay in the game. So I kind of talk about this a little bit in my video about ship progression, and I kind of want to talk a little bit more about it here, because I feel like talking about these ideas and sharing them in the community is kind of really the only way we're going to get this information in front of CIG. Being somebody who plays the game a lot, I can easily say the little things that would encourage me to play more and to play more consistently and test more consistently and be more active in the game. And I urge everybody to do the same. And having these discussions is hugely important. I know some people will like to say CIG doesn't listen to the community, CIG doesn't care, all this other stuff. But the only way they are going to care is if we talk about it, obviously. A lot of people made a lot of noise about the landing splines and the insurance prices. And when CIG makes changes like that and the community talks about it, they update it. So in my opinion, it is worth having an open dialogue and discussion about this stuff to give the devs ideas. Jared says it all the time on Inside Star Citizen. A lot of the conversations that we're having, they're also having internally. So I hope they're thinking about some of the same stuff that I'm about to talk about in this video. Now, when I talked about ship progression, I was very serious about it. Ship progression is kind of the backbone of this game. And if CIG doesn't try to come up with a type of ship progression system, it's not gonna land the way I feel like they're hoping it does. And obviously, they need to raise money for the game to be able to continue to developing it. So selling ships is a core part of what they're doing to be able to make the game. So, in some sense, you might think that, okay, because they're using ship sales to fund the game to be able to develop it, ship progression is not something that they might work on until later. So I kind of want to revise my ship progression video with a little bit more context and a little bit better ideas around how I think the whole thing could work. Now, in my video around ship progression, I suggested that CIG make ships purchased in-game with in-game currency sellable. Okay, that way, when you buy a ship in-game, you can sell it back and get some of the money back, and there would be a kind of system in place that calculates the loss in value of that ship. So, for instance, CIG could implement a system where money gets deducted the amount of times that you claim that ship. So let's say you bought a ship in game for like 5 million AUBC, and then you get in a crash, that ship explodes, and then you have to claim that ship. Now, CIG is tracking all of this stuff. All the stuff that the players are doing, they have metrics on it, and they track it, and they know. So I don't think it would be too hard to be able to put that information in some type of ledger or database and start acting on it. So essentially, once you buy a ship and you blow up a ship and you claim it, it takes off, let's say, 10K of the price of that ship. So as you use that ship and it, gets used, that insurance premium gets carried over once you want to sell that ship. Now you might be thinking, hey, that's going to incentivize people to not use the ships that they buy. But that's important because it does add value to ships bought with store money. So we want to do two things with these systems. We want to add value for ships bought in game, and we want to add value for ships bought with real money. We want to do both because we want to continue to incentivize CIG to make money in game. So now this system's in place. It does two things. When you buy a ship in game, you can sell it back in game. But whenever that ship is destroyed, it loses value. So if you bought a ship in the store with real money and it got into accident, it wouldn't lose value, but you couldn't sell it back in game, if that makes any sense. So you can essentially crash ships you bought with real money as many times as you want and not have to worry about the insurance. Of course, the insurance gameplay loop will come out when the game is fully released, but this is just kind of like a stopgap insurance premium. Again, it's kind of like your deductible. It's not a insurance payment, like a monthly payment. This is like a deductible that comes out when you sell your ship again. So the next thing that I think is important for CIG to do is that when they added, PES, we got the ability to they got the ability to wipe certain things and not others. So I think what they should do is that they should branch off ships purchased in game to a new ledger or new database. And we know that they're tracking all of this information and they have that information. So by branching off that data into a new ledger, they can essentially say, yes, this player bought all of these ships in game. And so when after a wipe happens, we're just going to give them back all of these ships. CIG has the ability to give us money. They have the ability to give us items. They can re-add ships to our in-game characters when after a wipe, essentially. Now, I don't know technically what they're going to have to do to make that happen, but it is possible, in my opinion, if they have the ability to wipe items, but not everything. And why I feel like this is important is that if ships persist, that means people will be more incentivized to grind and buy ships in game. The biggest problem is if you look up and you get a ship like the 890 Jump or the 600i, all of that work kind of goes to nothing when there's a wipe. If you grinded and you got this ship in game and it was so cool, it stayed on your character account, then you would feel like grinding and working towards something makes sense, because you know that, hey, a wipe is coming, I'll lose all of my items, but I'm still going to keep this ship. It makes sense to try to earn money to buy ships. And on top of that, if ships are resellable in game, you can buy a ship, you can grind and you can work hard and you can buy a ship. Then if there's a wipe, you can sell that ship back and you have all that money. Okay, so then buying ships in game becomes like a store of wealth. It becomes like a bank. You could essentially say, okay, I'm gonna grind and I'm gonna make all this money and I'm gonna buy an 890 Jump, and then after the wipe happens, I'm gonna sell the 890 Jump for a little bit of a loss, and then I will have like, I don't know, 25 million going into the game after that wipe. So that will be huge for a lot of players who want to be able to feel like they're still progressing. Now, it is very easy to make tens of millions, hundreds of millions of UEC in the game by working hard for a lot of the really sweaty players in Star Citizen. But for the casual players, I'm pretty certain that most people that play Star Citizen has never made over 50 million organically. I mean, they might have bought credits on eBay or something like that, but we're not going to get into all of that. I feel like the average player, just by average gameplay, doing bunker missions, doing, investigation missions, doing bot missions, they're not making that kind of money. Especially for new players. For new players to feel like it's important to get back in game, being able to know that, hey, I made 100k in game, there's going to be a wipe coming up, I'm just going to buy like a Spartan or something like that, a small ground vehicle that's worth like that 100k. Then when the wipe happens, I'm going to sell that vehicle and have my 100k back and feel like I continued the same progression. It's going to feel like I just continued where I left off, and CIG is going to be able to wipe and clear the database and get that performance back out of the game. And everybody wins. Okay? So even if someone has, the $25,000 game package and they have all the ships in the game, it still makes sense for them to play the game, make money, and store their wealth in ships bought in game. So even if you have every ship in the game and you bought it with real money, it still makes sense for you to play the game and earn money to buy ships, because buying ships is like a in-game bank, a way to store your money through wipes. And then of course, when the big wipe happens, let's say 5 years from now, CIG says the game is going gold, we're going to have one last wipe, everyone's plate is wiped clean, and we start over. That's going to be something people look forward to now, because now they get a legitimate chance to start from the beginning and essentially do their zero to hero or whatever, and build back up everything that they've built to this point. But the problem is, when there's so many wipes, you can't really build anything up to want to build back up to. You know what I mean? A wipe is more important when you've actually built up enough things to miss. So if you've never really bought a bunch of ships or a bunch of items or anything like that, then having a wipe is just like, okay, another wipe. It just makes you feel like you're never progressing. You make 10 million, you buy 2 ships, there's a wipe. You make 5 million, you buy 1 ship, there's a wipe. You lose that incentive to keep progressing, to keep making money, and to keep buying ships. But if there is that large period of time where you can have this crazy fleet of ships, then when you finally lose that, you're super motivated to build back up that empire. So when the game does finally go gold and release, there are going to be so many people just rushing in to play the game to build back up what they've lost. But if nobody really built anything up to lose, they're going to be a little less excited to get involved. I mean, obviously when the game goes gold, I'm sure it's going to be crazy whenever that happens, and there are a ton of people that are going to be excited to get in. But I feel like they'd be a lot more excited, because again, the Star Citizen player base have been playing this game for a long time. When the game finally releases, is it gonna feel like that big of a difference? Unless CIG is really holding something crazy out for that. But like, let's say the planet Terra, they'll add the Terra system in when the game goes gold or something like that. But realistically, at the end of the day, I think that the ship progression being a part of the alpha phase is incredibly important. It's going to give people the motivation to keep playing. Now, of course, the next big thing that I feel like, regardless, 4.0, whatever patch comes out, I feel like stability is key. That's something that they're definitely working on. I can see it, I can feel it right now. You're seeing the gameplay in the background, the game's, working normally. Stability is huge. Getting more of the quality of life things in. I can see CIG's working on those things already. I really appreciate the quality of life things, but it's one of those things where a lot of people are waiting on base building. A lot of people are waiting on the modular ships, like the Carrack having its modules, the Caterpillar having its modules. And all of these things, when they come online, they're going to be extremely excited. But if you don't have that progression, in my opinion, you're still not going to have the motivation to get in and play. A lot of people say things like, the money in the game doesn't matter, all this kind of stuff, because they don't feel that progression there. And it's not just reputation. Reputation is a good avenue. It's just kind of another one of those things. If you don't feel that little bit of persistence going into it, it's not going to hit the same. The game is just not going to feel the same. We had a ton of people that were excited when everything was going on in 2019, 2020, when the game was getting big. A big reason for that was because we had such a long period of time between wipes that people really felt what the game was supposed to be like. People were really incentivized getting to play because there hadn't been a wipe for so long. But now we're having a lot more wipes a lot more frequently, so people are kind of feeling the alpha nature of the game a lot more. And if CIG could do something to mitigate the feeling of having these wipes all the time, I feel like a lot of people would be a lot more incentivized to play. And if they put in actual mechanics to kind of counter that, a lot more people would be excited. That's kind of it for me here. Obviously, they're doing what they can do. We're getting 320 coming out very soon. 320 seems like it's going to be a good quality of life patch. And then we have CitizenCon and IAE at the end of the year. So there's a lot of exciting stuff to come out. And of course, there are murmurings about Squadron 42. I'm very excited about Squadron 42. I know a lot of people in the Star Citizen community they bought the game for the PU. The story, the context that Squadron 42 is going to add to the PU is going to be invaluable. Feeling more connected to this world, you're going to get that from Squadron 42. A lot of people are kind of seeing that in Starfield right now, where because Starfield has this story, you talk to NPCs, this, that, and the other, they feel more connected to the game. And that's kind of missing a little bit in the persistent universe. So Squadron 42 is going to add the context to the universe that a lot of people, the lore, because you look at the lore in the PU and a lot of it gets changed, retconned, going into Pyro as things come online. A lot of the story and the lore elements need to be changed and adapted to work with the new technology and features coming online. Like that happened with Death of a Spaceman and the medical gameplay that CIG added. They added all this lore about regeneration and, capturing Vanduul tech to be able to do that. And so the lore is going to change as the PU develops. So you kind of need this monolith of context that you're going to get from Squadron 42 that's going to kind of, steer what the direction of the lore happens in the PU, if that makes any sense. And it's going to kind of set the tone for the game. So in my opinion, Squadron 42 is incredibly important. I'm excited about playing the game. It's got all these A-level actors in it. You're going to be able to fly around and dogfight and do all of these more RPG style things that I feel like a lot of people enjoy in Starfield. And if you enjoy that, potentially you can enjoy Squadron 42 as well, because Squadron 42 is going to be completely seamless. It's running on the same engine that the persistent universe is running on. So you're basically just going to get in the game and be able to play, fly in your ship, do whatever you want to do, and not worried about loading screens. It's theoretically going to have the same menus and inventory that the PU has, and in my opinion, I think those things are good. I'm very used to a lot of the control systems and the way this game works, so I feel like Squadron 42 is going to feel very natural to me, and it's going to be a lot of fun to play. So I'm excited about it. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Are you excited for Squadron 42? Do you think that Star Citizen has a great game on their hands? Are you excited about the future of this game? I'm very excited about the future of this game. Now that I'm playing a little bit of Starfield, that video is going to be very interesting. Believe you me, you guys. I have a lot of things to say about that game. But realistically, I think that playing it and experiencing what I've experienced in that game, it's just made me so much more excited for Star Citizen. I think that no other developer is really doing what CIG is doing, and CIG is really trying to make the game that we all want. And I don't know, there's just something about that. I think that we should just kind of support that. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to say, but the reason why I support this project is because I can see the progress. I can see what they're trying to do. There's like a little glimmer there where you could see what this game could be. And I don't know, I feel like that's worth it. That's worth all the time and the effort that all of us has put in up to this point to make this game happen. And I think that continuing that support, continuing that excitement, it's just gonna get better. I mean, the amount of progress that we've seen in the past 3 years in this game is incredible. But of course, again, I want to hear from you guys. I love the discourse. I love you guys' comments. It keeps me going on this channel. You guys are awesome. You're rock stars. The support you've been showing me is amazing. And you know, small YouTube channel, we're trying to grow. If you're watching this channel, if you're enjoying the content, hit the subscribe button. 600 subscribers. We haven't really gained that many subscribers lately. I know, the game is kind of slow right now because we're waiting on new patches, and then Starfield came out. But if you like this kind of content, just a guy sitting down talking about the game, if you want to talk about the game too, consider helping me out. I still want to continue growing on this platform, and your support would mean the world to me. So yeah, like I always say at the end of these videos, like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you guys in the next one. Salute.